everyone, and welcome back to our main stage here. Now, as part of a working lunch, we're going to enjoy a special presentation on cybersecurity from Elythia McAnarney from the New Mexico Procurement Technical Assistance Center, our PTAC office. She's going to be talking about NIST 800-171 regulations, requirements, and why it's really important to actually be compliant with those standards, what they mean, why you need to make sure that before you go after the opportunities, you know what they are, you know what they drive, and you know the reason behind them. After her presentation, Elythia will have time to address a few of your questions and provide some answers. So we're going to have a quick 30-minute or so presentation by Elythia. If you want, Elythia, now, please take it away.
Thank you, Del. I appreciate this opportunity to share this information. As Del said, I am Elythia McAnarney with the New Mexico PTAC office. We are an organization funded by the Defense Logistics Agency and the state. So we do provide services. We are one of the companies that can help you in moving forward with your proposals and as we move forward. I'm going to go into cybersecurity, as he said. There is a lot of information that I have here. So please don't panic. We can help you with this, at least understand. And there are items references at the back of my slides that you can go to, that you can get support. So you're not alone on this, but it's extremely important. I'm going to go over the regulations, what the controlled and classified information is, the NIST framework, the FAR 52204-21, the DFARS, the CMMC Level, and certifications. And part of it I'm going to go through very quickly. We only have a half hour, and this presentation is usually a half a day presentation. But what I want to do is get these slides in your hands, and I want you to understand how to use them. Cybersecurity is taking care of the information you're putting together. All of you here are interested in SBIRs or STTRs. You're dealing with technical information. To start with, I need to applaud you for doing that because we need it. Our country is based on small businesses coming out with all this initiative. But at the same time, we need to protect it. You are a target, whether you want to admit it or not. Your inventions, your knowledge is all what our adversaries want. And what good is it to our team, our service members, if our adversary has it for free? All your hard work, if it goes out the door. And that's what I'm trying to share with you, how to stop that. And we've got to. We've got to stop it. That's why this is so important. We know the federal governments, we know the agencies, but this is dealing with non-federal organizations. Federal contracts, subcontracts, state, local, and tribal, and colleges and universities are all affected. You've heard this on the news. So that's why this has been so important. We have the cybersecurity compliance requirements, okay? If you are receiving any federal funded dollars, I can almost guarantee you have this FAR clause, 52204-21. That clause is just the basics of cybersecurity, and it has 15 controls. You've heard of the DFARS, which is DoD, That's their supplement. And the NIST 800-171. And I'm going to go into these a little further as I go on. Right now, because of the CMMC, which is the requirements for being certified, are not ready. They've come out with intern rules. That's the 7019 and the 7020, and then the 7021. For DOD, the 7019 is saying that you have to go into the government site, SBIRS, and self-certify. So basically what we've gotten through is going, they trust us, but now they're going to verify, okay? And we're going to move forward. If you have, it's going to be certified as a low, medium, and high. Anything at medium or high, this clause will allow DCMA come in and do an audit on your systems. This one goes back to being ready for the CMMC certifications. And I'll get into more of that. I know I'm going through this quickly, but I want to get this all into you so you understand. We want to protect controlled unclassified information. When you start off with your level 1 SBIRs, it's probably going to be, you want to protect it, but it's not going to go into all the details yet. When you start looking at level 2 and 3, you're going to be starting to reach a higher level. That's where you're really going to need a lot of the security requirements. The government has put together a CUI Registry that explains what they consider to be controlled unclassified information. It contains 20 different categories, and all of them are listed here. My understanding is that you will have access to these slides, so don't try to write everything down. All I want to do is show you how to use them. I picked finance to go further down. If you go in, you can open finance and you can see there's a further clarification on it. And then if you go further, you can see how it should be marked. This all came out because every different agency was marking them different. And so it made it hard for our industry to follow. The National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, is non-regulatory agency. They have a lot of great information on their site, but they were tasked to come up with some regulations or some guidance that industry can use to protect the information. And in doing so, they completed this back in June of 2015. Why are we just hearing it now, or why are some things? Because the government had to do their part to meet that and to get ready for industry. Basically, the whole framework is to identify what you have, protect what you have, be able to detect if someone is intruding in your system, respond, but most important, recover. You want to be recovering from an attack of some sort. This is what's scary. The breaches that have happened in our small to mid-sized companies, 60% of them that have been breached are out of business. We don't want that to happen to you. We need you. We need your innovations. We need what you have to share and your ideas to help solve different issues. That's why this is so important. And this just goes into further explanation of it. I'm not going to go through each slide because of the time, but I wanted to share and let you see. We have 14 families within the NIST, and then they have the different controls. I don't know why these are. But part of the NIST is to come up with a system security plan to conduct an assessment of what you have in your system and come up with a plan of action. How are you going to meet this? How are you going to meet those 110 requirements? No system is going to be 100% foolproof, but you can be adequate if you meet the NIST 800-171 and show that you are making progress on it, okay? There's adversaries that are up there, things that are happening daily, weekly, hourly. So to keep up with everything is not going to be easy. But if you already have these in place and have a way to go through them, you're going to be considered adequate. So just because you have a breach doesn't mean you're not going to be able to do any work with the government anymore, because that's not the case. The supply chain needs to be secured. If you are a sub to a prime, or if you are a prime, the basic FAR clause 52-204-21 is going to be in there. And you're going to need to understand how to work it. Prime is responsible for their supply chain, the subcontracts. They are going to conduct a proper due diligence, and one of them is going to be on cybersecurity. How are you protecting your system? How are your backups? Because if there's a breach, you could be terminated. You could cause past performance issues, and you could potentially have a false claim allegation. Those are pretty serious. The false claim allegations are if you say you're doing something and you have not met those requirements, you could open the door to that. And let me tell you, if you have a False Claim Act and you have to go through that whole process, that's going to cost you 3 times more than meeting these requirements. So it's something to keep in mind. There are False Claims Acts out there that have gone through court already, and you can look them up. Okay, the NIST came out with 800-171A, which brought the total assessment objectives up to 320. And everyone's going, oh my God, how do we do that? Don't panic. What they did is they took the NIST, the 14 families, the 110, okay? But people were saying, what do they mean? How do I know if I'm meeting that? That's when they came up with the objectives, 210 objectives. That's where the 320. So if you end up with a DCMA audit, these are all going to be reviewed on how you meet and how you're proceeding to meet them forward. Okay? And it's like, there's a lot, but remember the objectives, the 210, just go a further step down to see what you need to do to meet the requirements. What I did here on this slide is that FAR requirement, the 52-204-21 I told you about, those 15 items are in the NIST. If you're doing DoD work and you've heard the CMMC Level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, Level 1 is the basic FAR requirements. So those FAR requirements cover 17 items of the NIST 800-171, and they are marked here. All I'm going to do is show you how to use these slides. I'm not going to go through every one of them, but I want to show you what I did for you so that you have something to review and take with you. There are the basic FAR requirement is what you need to make sure you're meeting, especially if you had any government funding and have invoiced. If you have invoiced and you don't meet these and that requirement is in your contract or in the work statement or clauses, you could be potentially meeting a False Claim Act. We don't want any of those. We want to get past those. We want to stop that. So what I did here is I put the basic contract FAR is the 52204-21. I've listed the items, I've listed the NIST and what family they belong to. And you can see the highest one for the FAR is the access control. Who can get in your system? Do you know who they are? And it's 2 pages. Remember I said the FAR has 15, NIST meets 17 requirements right here, the physical protection. That's where it meets 2 of the extra ones so that you are aware of it. Okay, that being said, here is the first one. And what I did is put access control, put the FAR requirement, and if you look here, if you read the FAR requirement and the NIST, they're exactly the same wording. And then on the NIST 800-171A, these items were added. So there were 6 objectives added on how to meet this requirement. So if you go through these one at a time, those and meet those, that's how you're going to meet that requirement. On the next slide, you can see it's basically you're going to control who can use company computers and who can log in. Set up your system so that unauthorized users and devices cannot get into your company network. This FAR clause here meets this NIST 800-171. And that's how I've gone through with all the slides moving forward. This is limit information system access. This is the type of transactions and functions. Make sure to limit user employees to only the system and roles. Some of you are small. I would highly suggest you have 2 logins. One login is your admin, where you can open anything and everything on your systems. Your payroll, your bank's accounts, your proposals and stuff like that. And then have a separate login. So when you're doing your technical, when you're working on your items, just as if you were an employee. So if there is a breach or something is getting through, it only attacks one part of your system. Have that where it has the firewalls that it can't get through. That way you only have one part to worry about. In doing that, that meets this NIST requirement. Those are suggestions. I am not an IT person. I cannot tell you or explain to you how to do it. I can explain the requirements. And I do have other information and other people that can help you with that, meet those requirements. All of these slides, as you go through them, I've done it all the way through. Limit the connections. Right now, it is hard, and I understand with COVID, that people have their computers at home, they don't have the same safeguards. But you as a small business need to make sure that when you're out and about, that you're not using an open connection. Okay. Those are things that people can get into easily. So when you're out at a Starbucks and going through your technical information, you want to be able to know that you're on a secure line and not just have it open. The same thing with your checking account. The same thing with anything like that that's personal. Anything, just think of it as having pieces of paper with you, okay? We all can relate to having pieces of paper and having drawings in front of us. When we leave or when we're working on them someplace, we don't want to just leave them open. We want to put them behind locked doors or in a file cabinet. That's what we need to do to our computer systems. There's different ways. to do it, and there are services out there that can help. As you go through, you can see the slides, you can limit the network connections and stuff, keep going forward. Access control, you can see that's going on. And yes, I'm going a little quickly because I don't want to take up all the time before everyone can ask questions. But this is how these slides are. So these are all the 17 requirements of the NIST 800-171. As you go through, you can go through and read them and make sure you have an understanding. Okay? One of the things that I do want to bring up is your protection in the media. When we're finished with our computers, our phones and stuff, what do we do with them? Okay? A lot of times we were donating them to schools or to something, but all of these have little chips in them that store information. Have we taken that chip out, especially if we're using this with technical information? Or are we just leaving it someplace? I've had people tell me that they were doing something, and of course, you know, they have kids, so they lend their phone to the kids to watch a movie while they were doing anything, and the child indirectly pressed a button and got into their email. Is it locked? Can you separate that from what they're seeing? Okay. Can't help them that you're using the same device. Can't afford 10 different devices for everything. But we need to know how to secure and how to keep control of it. Okay. Those are things that we need to think about. And before it wasn't a big deal. But with technology and everything we do, our phone is just as powerful as our computer, as our laptop. And in some cases, it could be more powerful. We receive our emails, we can get on the internet, we can watch movies, we can play games. Do we know the sites that we go to? Do we know if there's anything lurking in this little device here? And how do we? Okay? So you want to watch those. You want to be careful, especially all of you who have technologies that you are trying to move forward and help us in our defense agencies. Those are all prime targets. And we don't want to hear that, but unfortunately it's true. So no one is safe. We all have to do it, whether it's for ourselves or the work we do. So that's part of the physical protection. Some of it is audit logs in the background. Do you know if you have your audit log turned on? A lot of the softwares automatically have that, but it's not turned on. Do you know how to turn it on? So you can go in and look at it maybe once a week, once a month, whatever, and see if someone's coming into your computer or attempting to at times that you're not on it. One of the things that company was finding out, there was somebody coming in at 1, 2 in the morning, going in the background, going and searching their computer. You know, nobody was working. So they had to go in and start auditing and finding out what was going on. Do you take the time? I don't know how to turn that on, but I can guarantee you an IT person will. Okay? So you want to physically protect all this. Do you know where it is? I mean, at home, we're working at home. Can anyone come in and be right with you in here and watch what you're doing and take pictures of your screen or copy it? Okay? You're working on some high-tech information. We don't want that just out there. We want to be able to control it. You want to be able to protect it. That's what this is all about. Just protecting and keeping it safe. Do you keep your system updated? You have your firewalls, your proxies and stuff. Do you keep it updated? I guess they have the Microsoft Tuesday updates because things happen all the time. Do you automatically update your systems? Is it set up? Or do you ignore those updates? Okay? You want to be able to update. Those software updates come out for a reason, and you need to keep up with them. Do you have a way of doing that? Do you have the integrities in your system and going forward? And like I said, all of these go for, I go through all of them. There's slides here for you. And I'm running out of time, so I'm going to go through them. But you want to make sure there's no code in there that isn't being updated. Okay? Update your systems. But what I do want to get to is this. When you meet that FAR 52204, which is your NIST 800 basic requirements, or CMMC, you want to consider doing a self-assessment of your devices. It's not one of the items in the FAR for that clause. You want to make sure you have policies regarding the use of your company's equipment. Take the time to write it down. Having policies in your head, if you're a one-person company, yeah, but when you hire somebody, because I'm assuming all of you are in business to grow, you want to move forward. How are you going to explain to the next person what your expectations are? Cyber insurance. When you get insurance for your company, look and see what it covers. See if you need it. Some of you at this point, you may not. As you grow, you may, because there are different requirements that have to be met. Computer file backup. You need to back up your systems. A lot of people say, oh, I have my desktop here and I use it and it's fine. I don't need a... What if it crashes? Where is your backup for the information? Or what if you get that skull on your screen and they say they want ransomware? If you don't have a backup, not only a backup, but one that works. There have been companies out there that have had their backups, but it didn't work. So they end up paying ransomware and pray that they got their files back. You do not want to be in that position. Figure out a way, depending on what you have. It may be a thumb drive, it may be a terabyte, or it may be another device. But keep it away from your present device. Don't keep them connected. And have a routine of when you back things up, whether it's nightly, weekly, or whatever, so that you know. If you have employees, train your employees. They are your first line of defense. A lot of this malicious-ware, a lot of the malware, a lot of the phishing, a lot of the attacks are coming through emails. Train your employees and yourself what to look for. Look at the email address. If it says Office Max, but the URL doesn't say Office Max, maybe that's not Office Max. And maybe you should look at their site separately than the email that you just received for confirmation or whatever you need. You need to take that time to explain and understand it, because that's how things are getting into the system, is through emails. Teach them that they are important. They are your front line. They are part of your business. They need this job just as much as you need them. They need to understand how important they are, and it's not a game. When you go in for DoD, any contracts that require you to upload your information, they're going to want to know where you fit regarding the NIST 800-171. You need to go into the SBIR systems and upload where you are at. In order to do that, you have to have a PIEE registration. Okay, that registration can be a little frustrating. You need to go and you need to call them. Here's the SBIR, here we go. The PIE is the Procurement Integrity Enterprise Environment login. That's the login. Before you can log in, you need a cage code. So you're going to have to be in SAM. You have your DUNS number and cage code. Once you have that, you're going to need to call this number and give them your cage code so they can set you up so you can log in. Once you log in, these are the instructions you want to follow. Once you get there and you complete all the instructions, call the help desk again and let them know you need access to this SPRS. I've had clients get very frustrated because they couldn't figure it out. So I wanted to give you all of that information in those slides so you're not alone. What you're going to need to do for DoD is go through this worksheet here and score yourself. At the end of that, you're going to need to upload that score. There are self-assessment tools. This is one of them by NIST, and it'll help you go through and see what you need to meet the requirements. The CMMC, the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, is not ready yet. So if you have a client or a vendor out there saying, I can help you with your Cyber Maturity Model Certification and we can get it done, I step back. Now, if they can say they can help you get ready for it and get in place, that's fine. But if they say they can help you do it and get it 100%, no, because it's not even identified yet. Those requirements are not done. So these next slides are all regarding the CMMC, and I would not worry about them right now, but you know it's out there and it is coming. Right now, you need to worry about the basic, medium, and high requirements and DoD for DoD. So these are all out. These are part of the slide deck you will receive. But what I want to show you is this. In getting ready for the CMMC model, they've broken it down for the NIST requirements, level 1, 2, 3, and it goes all the way to 5. If you can meet the level 1, that's your basic. Then you have your level 2 and 3. So, and they all build on each other. But in here, in the document, it gives you ways on how to meet it. It goes into the certification and stuff. So this is a lot of information within a short period of time. But what I want to show you is the links. I've given you a list of links of people are available. Here's the FAR clause. Here's the 800-171, the CUI registration, and the DFARS. Go out there and look at them. I don't want you to just take my word for it and say, oh, she said this. No, go read them for yourself so you understand what you're going to be required. What is going to be out there? There's a self-assessment handbook. There's some templates. For DOE, it's a little different. But I can assure you, NIST 800-171 is going to be in there. These are resources that you can look at that are free and that they give you information that you can use with your employees. Here's some other resources in town. And You have the Rio Grande chapter, NCMA, New Mexico Tech, MEP, Project Spectrum. I want to point them out because they're on a grant. They have been funded by DoD to help small business. They have a self-assessment online for level 1, 2, and 3 that you can take. All of their information is free and it's available to you, so you can use it. I would highly recommend that you register and use that information. Okay? All the other ones, they will help answer questions. If you want them to help you further, yes, they will charge. But they're good resources. We have training at PTAC. We have templates, we have worksheets and stuff to help you move forward as well. If you want, just contact me and I'd be more than happy to go through it with you in more detail. Dell, I'm sorry, I think I went over a little bit, but hopefully I've got the information to everyone.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thank you, Elythia. So we will make sure that the slides get out to everybody. As Elythia said, she has her contact information in there. Do not hesitate to reach out to her and to any of your local PTAC offices. They are set up all across the country to help you get where you need to be to go after these procurement and contracting opportunities. So we're going to take a really quick break, get some stuff set up. So everyone else, enjoy the rest of your lunch, visit the booth in the expo hall, and take this as an opportunity to connect with your fellow attendees. We're going to be back in just a few moments, actually right at 1:30 for the start of our third panel. So enjoy the rest of your lunches. We will see you shortly.